Alright, so if anybody is under a rock, Marvel vs. Capcom is having a Final Collection coming out. And if anybody knows, I like doing tier lists. Not tier lists exactly for fighting games, but tier lists for like shooting games, like Call of Duty, stuff like that. So, Dreaming and Every Day posted this template, so thank you for doing that. I posted my response. I'm not going to give you all the spoilers on that, right? So we're going to go through and I'm going to give you my list of who I think would be in the game, right? And this is a pretty big list. I mean, it's 30 characters per side, which is pretty, that's excessive. But if they could, right, it'd be awesome. Like, obviously, this probably be like post DLC, stuff like that, if they did ever do it. Post the Ultimate Marvel 4 or whatever. So here's what I'm kind of thinking. I still think that Marvel's going to push their MCU stuff, which they've already kind of like closed a big chapter on it. So it's like there's some choices on here that got left out, some choices that are coming forward, some that are kind of current. There's things that could be omitted and changed, right? Admittedly, I'm not like the most versed on Capcom's side of like outside their mainstays. So I kind of just went back and looked at the legacy and kind of picked and choose some things that I thought would be here. Now, this doesn't mean like, oh, this is exactly how I want it, because really, when I'm looking at a list, I'm like, I like having like the villains with the heroes, right? So say you had Wolverine. I'm like, I don't want Sabretooth in the game, but I don't think Sabretooth's really relevant anymore. In current day, right? So that kind of thing's not there. Like, I don't think there's ever been Fantastic Four besides Doom. I don't think. Has Johnny Storm been in one? I don't think he has. Anyways, that's the criteria, right? This might be like the last hurrah if they ever did do this. This is a fever dream anyways. I mean, getting it back at all was a fever dream. I bought the arcade cabinet, you know, the arcade one-up cabinet, because I thought it was never coming back. I was like, well, if it's never coming back, I'm gonna get a hold of it. So I actually had the cabinet from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Anyways, let's get on with this. There's a lot to get into. There's like 60 characters, I think. All right, so we got Arthur. He's made it into the last 2 games, and Ghosts and Goblins is actually a pretty good seller franchise for Capcom. Arthur would probably make it back, I think. We got Juggernaut, which is the only one that my camera's kind of going to hide, but we got Juggernaut. And the way I usually do this is I try to pair stuff up, but this time I try to just do completely random until the end, like some of the mainstays, right? I think Juggernaut needs to come back, get another run. He would obviously probably be like the biggest character on the whole roster, or one of the bigs, you know? I just think Juggernaut could use a fresh coat of paint and a fresh take, and I'm ready to see him come back. And he was in many of the old games, so I think Juggernaut comes back. We got Frank West. Frank West, Dead Rising is apparently just a really popular franchise, so Frank West would be back. I'm not a Frank West player. I can definitely tell you that. I'm just kind of like, I didn't really like that game that much. It was fun, like renting it and just killing zombies nonstop, but like the story and everything was like kind of clunky. We have Miss Marvel. I think she would kind of take the place of like Mr. Fantastic or Super Skrull that was in Marvel 3, which Super Skrull was a good mix for Fantastic Four, right? But considering this is a more recent addition to MCU, I think they could put her in the game. They could actually do some stuff with her and make her pretty unique and cool. Since they're not, I don't think they would do Super Skrull, but they might. I mean, I don't know, maybe. Hagar, I think Hagar comes back. People really like Hagar from 3. Plus, it's some representation from a different Capcom franchise, right? Doctor Strange. A lot of the MCU ones or the Marvel ones don't really need a lot of explanation if you follow. Of course, Doctor Strange will be in it. Rashid. I actually think Rashid is a really good addition for Street Fighter because I don't know, man. I just like him. It's a personal choice, but I feel like Rashid fits well He's like a wind user. It's not really many other people, not many, that use wind on the rest of this list. So Capcom having another Street Fighter, which obviously there's going to have quite a few Street Fighter characters because it's the that's the fighting game. You know what I mean? Star-Lord. So I really considered this one. I wasn't really sure if I wanted Star-Lord in it because I was like, well, if I'm going to put Star-Lord in, I might as well put all of them in it. And I didn't do that. I didn't put all the Guardians in, but he's not the only one. The only thing I see about some of these characters, I'm like, how they play different from each other, right? Like, people with guns, people with swords. How many times can you do something different, right? So I wasn't sure, but they could do some stuff with him. Poison. Poison's another character from Final Fight, and honestly, sex sells. So I think Poison's always sold good as DLC and stuff, and she's never been in a don't think she's been in a crossover game, so I put Poison in this. Loki. I do think Loki, they need to give a run for Loki for sure, especially after how he was in MCU, his popularity in MCU. A trickster character. There's things they could do with him, especially with the knives and staff. I mean, you know, his magics. I do think that it would be cool to have Loki in the game, straight up. Okay, so this is what I did. I went to the bottom. So I got Juri. Juri hasn't been in a crossover game. Well, I guess Tekken versus Street Fighter. That's wrong, right? So I think Poison might have been in that game as well. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe I forgot. Tekken X Street Fighter. That kind of flew out of my mind. So yeah, I guess this would be our first versus game, not X game. You know what I mean? But Juri's pretty popular. A lot of the Street Fighter stuff I based off of straight up popularity. Storm's got to come back. The X-Men have got to come back. They got to be a big stay in this. And the only problem with that is there's only so many slots. And the X-Men we've been missing from the last Marvel game, and they were huge reasons why it was big in the 90s. Like a massive part, because X-Men was massive, right? It was almost to the point where I was like, dude, it felt like X-Men was its own third, right? It wasn't Marvel DC. It felt like X-Men was its own thing. That's how big they felt to me. Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman, Spider-Man. That seemed like to be the biggest in the 90s to me. I don't even know what this character's name is. I just looked up main protagonist for Onimusha, and the reason why is because I don't think we've ever gotten him in any of these games. And that's actually one of their... I mean, they made like 3 or 4 games, right? And I'm like, well, I don't want to put Silver Samurai back in it. I would rather put a Capcom representative samurai in it. And Onimusha is actually, like, it sold decently well. It's been gone for a while, but I mean, if you want like a deep cut, something different, you know what I mean? Like, not just the same old, then that's why I went with this character. His name might be Onimusha, I'm not sure. But, yeah, I'm not well versed, like I said. Gamora, so there you go. Gamora was actually pretty good in MVCI, so Gamora comes back. We got Zero, of course. You know, we got to get some of the mainstays. Like, Zero was really good. Dormammu seems to be coming back. It's like he's come back several games in a row. We need some more villains, so it's like it's kind of like an easy layup, right? And plus, it's a Doctor Strange villain. So, you know, Dormammu comes back. That's fine. He changed that slot out for somebody else. Felicia. Now, I know you're saying, man, your last few Capcom picks have been quite on the promiscuous side, but the thing is like this should be a celebration of all of it, right? So we got Final Fight, we got Street Fighter, we got Darkstalkers. Just because, like, I mean, you could censor them, right? You know what I mean? Like, you can make it not as bad, especially since it's first as a Capcom, Marvel. You know, Marvel might feel a little, you know, Poison might be too promiscuous, I guess. But Juri and, well, Felicia might be too. But you might have to tone them down. But as long as they play the same, you know, it is 2024. So, you know, depending on how you feel about that. You guys might be like, yeah, totally, I get what you're saying. There might be other people that are raging. Hawkeye. Hawkeye is definitely one that I think you could leave out. But like I said, I just feel like with the MCU stuff going on, I feel like he would be in. But I don't want him to be like his version he is in MCU. I would much rather a lot of these characters kind of be like their takes. You know what I mean? Not MCU takes, but like their like comic-ish takes. Which I thought he was actually pretty cool in. I think he was in Ultimate Marvel 3. Pretty sure he was. M. Bison. I looked up the villains for Street Fighter, and Sagat and M. Bison were the two most popular villains. Unless you count Akuma as a villain. So M. Bison is in here, and I know he's got a Street Fighter 6 version, which I don't know if they want to put the Street Fighter 6 version or they just want to put the classic version. But either way, M. Bison is the representative for Street Fighter for villains. Deadpool, I feel like Deadpool's got to be in it after like his popularity kind of boomed in the late 2000s. A relevant movie coming out soon. He was pretty popular in Marvel 3, at least from casual standpoint, right? Deadpool, pretty good. You know, this right here is kind of getting on my nerves a little bit, actually. Hit it, right? 12 minutes is enough. Okay. Oh, spoilers. All right, here we go. Ooh, Leon Kennedy, baby. Yeah, Leon needs to be in the game. We can bench Chris. This time Leon got some shine, dude. Like, I don't want to play exactly the same as Chris, but Leon needs to be in the damn game. Leon is one of the most popular characters at Capcom right now. For good reason, right? Like RE2 is good, RE4 is good. Like Leon would, if there was a Marvel 4, you can bet your ass Leon's going to be in the game. Bet your ass. Especially since Resident Evil's like one of the most popular franchises. Leon's in the game. Cyclops, yep, there we go. Get some X-Men up in here. Yeah, you know, you see Storm, it's like, well, there's not that many X-Men yet. There's a lot of slots to go. So Cyclops would definitely be in. He's just a classic. He's on the cover of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Monster Hunter. There has to be a representation for Monster Hunter. I know this is the MVCI. I don't know what they would do if they put like some new pro tag or even the cats, right? Like your little, I don't know what you call them, but the little cats that are helpers. Even if you put that as a character in the game, that'd be awesome. Hello. Stop, mission, please. We're recording. Big old dog. Okay, so Monster Hunter is also a massive franchise for Capcom right now. There's no way they would not have there's no way they wouldn't have representation for Monster Hunter for sure. Next we got Hulk, which I mean Hulk's been in several Marvel vs. Capcom games, so I think Hulk will definitely make it back. I mean, I don't think there's a way you leave out like the big original Avengers at all. You know what I mean? Captain Commando. That's kind of a deep cut, not really relevant these days, but Captain Commando, I think, is a timed, like, is a character that is from MVC2 that should come back. Captain Marvel, more recent MCU and late 2000s, 2010s character relevancy. But like I said, MCU-cation or whatever, should probably get pushed in. You know what I mean? Which there's nothing wrong with that per se, but the only thing is kind of conflicts with the character we also have on this list, but we'll get into that. Cammy. Cammy's one of the most popular characters in Street Fighter, surprisingly. I didn't think she would be as popular as she was. Now, the reason why she is, you know, we won't get into that. But she does seem like she's a pretty popular character, and she has been in other ones, so I think Cammy making a comeback would be really good. Wolverine. Of course Wolverine's in Marvel vs. Capcom 4. There's no doubt, dude. The X-Men being out, I mean, if there's any X-Men that's going to be in it, it was Wolverine. You know what I mean? Like, Wolverine's like the Spider-Man of the X-Men to me. And especially with the relevancy of the recent X-Men show. Yeah, dude, a lot of these X-Men should be in. And I'm going to say this right now, this is a little bit of spoiler. There's more like an honorable mention thing right here. I really wish Nightcrawler would be in it. Like, you know what I mean? I really think Nightcrawler's a cool character, and I would like to play as Nightcrawler. I think Nightcrawler would be really cool. We got Sigma. Sigma being a Mega Man villain. I feel like there's just kind of a lack of Capcom villains in a way. And he's a recurring one. He was in one of the last games, so I mean, it's kind of a layup for him. You know what I mean? In a way, they can get him back in the game. Thor, of course, Thor. Being one of the main Avengers. Dante. Dante is the most popular Capcom character by votes. I just spit everywhere. God. The most popular Capcom character by far on English and Japanese that came out in the poll. So Dante's in the game. So I will have something a little maybe controversial later, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, we got Scarlet Witch. I think Scarlet Witch should be in. The stuff you can do with her, really cool. Now we might be getting to the point where it's like there's too many casters. You know what I mean? We got Dormammu, Scarlet Witch, Loki, Doctor Strange. I don't care. Do some cool stuff with her. You know what I mean? Just do some reality bending stuff with her. Chun-Li. Of course. Do I need to talk about it? Rocket and Groot, I do think they've been flirting around with all that stuff. I do think Rocket and Groot being in it, which now you can see it. Drax is the only one I don't have in the game because I was just like, okay, what's another green guy with knives? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe you could drop Hulk for Drax, but I don't want to do that personally. And then at least this way you could have a full Guardians team. You know what I mean? You could have Gamora and you could have, you know what I mean? You could pick 3 characters and it would be the 3. You know what I mean? Oh, I forgot this fella's name. He's from Darkstalkers. I looked at Darkstalker and I was like, who's the most popular Darkstalkers character besides Morgan? You know what I mean? Like, who is it? Let me look this guy's name up. His name is John Talabane? Anyways, he's like a werewolf, dude. He's like a martial arts werewolf. Like, that's sick. Like, why has that not been in here yet? Like, I want him in the game. It looked cool. Said he was like the 2nd most popular character. I'm like, I've never heard of him. I've never even heard of this guy. But yeah, so that was in a poll also that I looked up. I think that was a cool character to add. So, John Talabane. Hopefully I said that right. Talabane? Well, it looks like it says. Anyways, looks like a cool character. I'd want him in the game. Iron Man. Of course Iron Man's in the game. Why wouldn't Iron Man be in the game? You know what I mean? Iron Man's sick. Especially in the fight. He wasn't even a popular character back then in the Versus series. And he was still fun to play. Phoenix Wright is super popular in Japan. Like, holy smokes. I think the guy he goes against, I don't know anything about Phoenix Wright, but I was looking into it, and I think the guy that was against him, he was voted like the 5th most popular character in Japan. I'm like, he was like, I think Phoenix was 2nd. Dante was 1, Phoenix was 2nd, and Leon was 3rd, I think. So yeah, dude, Phoenix Wright games are really big over there. So if you want to swap out Phoenix for any of the characters in that franchise, that would be fine. But I think they probably want Phoenix back again. Venom's been kind of like a stealthy mainstay. You know what I mean? Like I think he was not in Marvel 3, was he? Was Venom in Marvel 3? I don't think he was. It wasn't. Okay. That's weird. That's so weird. So he's not a mainstay. He got skipped. Kinda. Okay. So, he was in VCI though. So he was in Marvel 2. I think he was in Marvel 1. Marvel 1. He was in Marvel 2. He was in MVCI. Yeah, Venom's coming back, bro. Venom's too cool of a character. I don't give a shit. And you can make him the big giant one if you want to. If you want to change it up, that's cool with me. You can make him literally just the regular Marvel vs. Capcom version. You know, Venom Fang, Hyper Fang, all that stuff. Whatever you want to do. I'm down with it. I like Venom a lot. I put Mr. X on here. Now, this one is kind of like... when I'm back here and I'm looking in the past, I'm like, honestly, I'd probably take Wesker back again, but Wesker hasn't been touched on since Resident Evil 5, Wesker in MVC3 was sick. Or you could just do Nemesis again, but it'd be like Nemesis' third game in a row. So I'm kind of like, can we get some other representation for Resident Evil? And I'm like, this is the only other like iconic, I guess, big boss character to me personally. That's my opinion. And I mean, I don't know if you do an install, turn him into the version where his claws out or whatever, but or just have him be the big dude in the trench coat. I don't know. Either way, I guess you could put Birkin, but like the thing is like the characters don't have pizzazz, right? Like Wesker's the one, he's got swag, man, and he talks shit. I guess you could put Krauser. You can maybe put Krauser in the game, but I still think I might change this for Wesker. You know what I mean? This is the one where I was sitting here looking at it and I was like, I don't know. But I left Mr. X on here while I was editing, okay? So let's go next. Oh, wrong thing. Gambit. Gambit's in the game. I don't care. I'm not explaining. I'm not apologizing. Gambit's in the game. Gambit's so cool. Especially, like I said, especially with the show and everything. Gambit's coming back. I don't care. Run it back with Gambit. Ryu's in the game, man. Come on, dog. Captain America. There's no explanations. I will say this. So I left Falcon off this list. And they've usually gone with Steve Rogers, but I don't know if you would just change his skin and just put like a version of Falcon Captain America in the game or not. I thought about putting Falcon in the game, but I was just like, it just seems weird. You have to play around the wings so much and stuff. I don't know. I don't know. So I didn't put Falcon in, but I would totally be okay with him like putting a skin in. You know what I mean? And voice lines and stuff, where it's like you play as either Steve or, you know what I mean, either or. Morgan, of course, Morgan's in it. Morgan's in every one of them. Gonna be in this one. Magneto, yeah, boy, yeah, Magneto's coming back. Like hell yeah. Of course, Magneto's coming back. Wow, like one of the coolest characters. Amaterasu, I think I said that right. Amaterasu, yeah, coming back. Even though has not really that relevant, but still like a legacy character. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, it was a cool character to have in the game. It's a cool archetype to have. Ghost Rider, I think Ghost Rider's really cool. Just in general. I really want to put Blackheart on this list, but I just ran out of slots. I like Blackheart in NBC2, but I just couldn't justify it. And I was like, are you going to really leave Ghost Rider off and put Blackheart in? I'm like, no. So, Ghost Rider. This is the one that people might be a little bit iffy about. So, Nero, right? You gonna put Dante and Nero in the game? I'm like, well, Devil May Cry 5 Nero is pretty cool, especially with the robot arm and all the things he can do. And I'm just thinking about all the possibilities. And so that also kind of means no Virgil, which could sound like blasphemy. So if you really don't like Nero, just put Virgil here, right? But I'm just, in my mind, I was thinking, I was like, all the stuff they could do with all the moves they had in the game, I would kind of like to have Nero be in it, especially like that demon form and everything he's got. Like, so many possibilities you can do. But yeah, so obviously Dante's in, and there's going to be another one, right? I mean, Triss made it into one of them. I think it's her name Triss, right? She made it into one of them, Marvel vs. 3. I mean, Lady hasn't been in it. Maybe Lady be in it, but I know a lot of people just say, hey, put Dante and Virgil in it. I don't care. It's a default, right? Like Dante, Virgil, I'm not listening to nothing else. But I kind of like Nero. I do. I'm a Nero apologist. So I'd put Nero in the game. Sorry about the little skip. I heard some noise in the middle of the night. It's like 4 in the morning, so I was like, what is going on? Spider-Man. Everybody. If you didn't think Spider-Man was going to be in it, it's Spider-Man. Strider. Yeah, Strider's made it into a whole bunch of these games. I think Strider should come back. I do. Cool character to have in the game. A little ninja action. Black Widow. Maybe not. Swap this one out for somebody. You know what I mean? This feels like another MCU push, even though that chapter's closed. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, they could do some cool stuff with her. Swap her out for Bucky, maybe. Winter Soldier. You know what I mean? Jill. Ooh, another Resident Evil character, huh? Yeah, I think Jill should be back in the game because she was in the old one. Aries, you're going crazy, man. What's up, man? Making a bunch of noise. I think Jill should come back. She was in the NBC2. Now, does she have to play the same? I think so. She was in NBC3 and she was way different, you know what I mean? But this is the Resident Evil 3 version. I know Resident Evil 3 wasn't like as critically acclaimed as all the other ones remakes they made lately, but I think Jill needs a run back. I like to see Jill in the game. Would. Another Resident Evil character, that's good. You know, spread it out. Spread out who's in it. Doctor Doom. There's no way I'm making another one of these games without Doctor Doom in it, okay? I'm sorry. I don't have a single other Fantastic Four character. Doctor Doom's in the game, bro. Doom, Magneto, Wolverine are in the game, okay? And it is a puking, pathetic choice that they weren't in Infinite. That whole leaving X-Men to die thing, that was such a terrible move. Terrible. Mega Man, now you can make this be X or Mega Man, depending on what you want. I'm assuming you just make him X because I have Zero and Sigma on here, right? So, Mega Man's gonna be in the game. Black Panther needs to run back. Apparently what I heard, MVCI version of him wasn't that great, but Black Panther's too cool of a character to leave off, plus the banner you could have with Storm. Top notch. So, yeah. Black Panther makes the game. Ruby Heart. That right there is Marvel 2 straight up. Now, from what I think I've gathered, I think Ruby Heart was in nothing but Marvel 2. I think she was like a canceled Darkstalkers character, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, put Ruby Heart in. That's what I want to see. That would really, if you showed that, you'd be like, oh, okay. Thanos is just way too relevant. I really didn't like him in Marvel's Capcom 2. I don't know how he was in MVCI, but yeah, given Thanos, put him in there, he's just kind of like the Marvel villain right now. Sakura, she's like literally like was one of the top voted popular characters in all of Street Fighter, which was kind of a shock to me. I was thinking, you know, Chun maybe, but no, she was like voted #1, which is really weird to me. But if she's that popular, put her in the game. You know what I mean? I know we're getting some Shoto up in here, but you know, Ken wasn't on here, so you know, one more ain't gonna hurt, right? So there's Rogue. If you didn't know, back in the day, Rogue stole Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel's powers. And that's why she could fly. She had super strength and stuff, but she doesn't have like the projectiles and whatever. So I don't know how you want to handle that, because they would play like pretty similar, I think, for the most part. But I think with the relevancy of X-Men and the history of the X-Men, I think Rogue should be in the game. You know what I mean? And like, since we can't have, I don't think Psylocke is relevant anymore. Psylocke was really big. Since the show was just on and Rogue was in the show, I know I don't have Jean or Phoenix on here either, right? But like, as far as like female representation of the X-Men, it's like, okay, well, Storm, Rogue, Jean, of the main cast, that was almost all of them. You know what I mean? So, of the mainstays. So, that were popular in the 90s. So, I think Rogue and Storm being in it is plenty fun and plenty enough. As callbacks to, you know, Marvel and X-Men for Street Fighter, I think that's plenty enough. I think people will be happy. People played Phoenix just because she was broken. You know what I mean? I don't know that many Jean Grey fans. I step on some toes saying that, but I don't know that many Jean Grey fans. Like, Storm's sick as shit. I mean, that's sick. That's some sick powers, you know what I mean? So yeah. And there's something about Rogue, right? It's like the Louisiana accent, sugar, all that stuff. It's endearing. Okay, so the very last Capcom character. If we had to pick one character that's not been on this thing yet, that somehow is just, you know, and I don't know, almost every game these days. Akuma, bro. Hell yeah, I'm putting Akuma in this game. You think I wasn't gonna put Akuma in this game? You're crazy. All right, no way I'm leaving Akuma out of this maybe final, not really a thing, but we all cope and pray would be a thing. Dude, of course I'm putting Akuma in. I don't care if there was 16 Shotos Akuma's getting in, okay? I don't care. I really don't. I put Sakura in here because she was so popular on that list. I was like, really? I'm putting Akuma in the game. Ryu and Akuma, Chun-Li, that's a lock. Just like Wolverine, Magneto, and Doom, that's a lock. And so my last character over here on Marvel, not really that crazy of a left field character or anything, but, and this is kind of unfortunate, because there's so many obscure characters I really like in those games. Ultron, right? I feel like we need a little bit more villain representation on this side, so I put Ultron because Ultron feels like a pretty big villain, and he was just done in one of the recent games, so it's another kind of layup for him, right? They can just kind of do whatever with him, implement the same way. So that's it. That's the roster. But I think if I had to get some honorable mentions, I think Marvel side is, I think Colossus, I think Blade, I think Moon Knight, Winter Soldier, Falcon, Nightcrawler, you know, I think that's all that's really coming to mind just off the top of my head. Of course, like I said, I'd really want like Sabretooth or Carnage, but I got Venom. You know what I mean? I'm gonna take Venom over Carnage every time, but you know, if there was a possibility, I would like Carnage. Capcom side, I think I would maybe, like I said, Wesker, but that's already like a slot that can pretty much be swapped out. Wesker, Virgil. I don't think I put Sagat in. Ooh, who else would I put on Capcom? I don't know. There's many Capcom characters. I really wanted a Mingo. I ain't gonna lie to you. The little cactus from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I want to put a Mingo in there. Is it Anacris from Marvel vs. Capcom 2? He's in Darkstalkers. These are obscure characters, right? And I'm just like, I want them back. Trombone? Or T-Bone? Whatever they called her. T-Bone? I don't know what her name was. She's in the green mech. They could actually put her in the game. Because she's a good character in the games. In Marvel 3, Marvel 2. I like that character a lot. Ooh, I don't know. There's not many more that are just like jumping out at me. Of course, you can swap out. There's so many Street Fighter characters. Like you put Ken in, of course. But yeah, I'd be happy with this roster. I think, you know what I mean. Like there's obviously, hey, it's heavy on the MCU, but I mean, I think there's still really good characters in it, right? I mean, I think if any, let me see, the people I would drop off. Okay, I'm gonna go through. The ones I would drop off first cut is Star-Lord, Black Widow, Hawkeye, or Gamora. That's 4 of them that I think I might take off to get any of the other ones that I mentioned. On Capcom side, let's see, maybe Poison, Sigma for a better villain, if this one can think of a better villain. Obviously, like I said, Nero for Virgil. I would be okay swapping the Sakura for someone else, but she's been in other games, so I think she has her place, you know what I mean? maybe the Onimusha guy, right? That was kind of that was like really far left field. I was like, this guy's not been in anything. What, just put him in, whatever. I don't know. Put in a samurai because I can't put Silver Samurai in on Marvel side. So there's a list. My list that I think would make sense, and when I make these things, it's never like a fever dream, right? Like this, it itself is a fever dream. But I'm trying to think realistically about it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, if they did do this, what could we go for, right? What would make sense? So that's what I've done here. And I mean, besides Doctor Doom, I mean, they have done stuff. I mean, it was Fox before, right? But like, I mean, they're about to do something with him and him. So, I mean, these are all relevant. Last 10 years, they've done stuff with these characters. Not like they're all little dead IPs or anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit different over here, of course. Yeah, of course. But I don't think there'd be as many, like, rights problems. You know what I mean? Like, getting things... Obviously, Disney owns all their stuff, you know, now. But they've had renditions of these characters recently. X-Men are all... Like... They've done the show. Like, Loki's had his show. This has a show. Movies. You know what I mean? Like, they're all... Besides Juggernaut, I think every one of these characters has been in the MCU. And Doom. Sorry, I forgot about Doom. So, yeah. That's the way I think I'd do it. And I think I'd be happy with this roster. I think I would be. You know, now some people might, like I said, I'm not gonna go over it again like a broken record, but yeah, I think that's fine. I think we're good. So, you know what? Thank you guys for watching. Let me know who you guys would want in here. And like I said, here's it's 30 on each side. So if you're gonna be in the comments giving me lists and stuff, sometimes I see some of my old lists. I'm talking 5-6 years ago. Still getting comments, and thank you for doing that, right? But I'm not commenting 6 years away. You know what I mean? I'm just not. But if you're saying it into the ether, thank you. I appreciate you if you drop a like, and let me know your tier list. So there's 30 and 30 on both sides. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you. We'll catch you next time.